Alrighty, everybody, welcome to the channel. Today I'm going to show you how to hook up joysticks and a steering wheel and gas pedal to your farming simulator game. It's pretty simple. There is a process you should follow, though. You can do this any way you want. I mean, if you want to try to fight and do it the way you've been doing it, then go ahead. But obviously, you're watching this video because you're tired and frustrated of trying to figure this all out. And it is kind of complicating if you miss a couple of steps. So if you just bought joysticks and you plug them in and nothing's working right, it's a pain in the ass to try to figure out where to bind everything. Well, this is the simplest way to show you. And this does take a couple of minutes of time, out of your day to do. But once you do it, it's a done deal. You don't have to do it again. So the first thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to go into you find your farm simulator folder. And that's in your documents. On Steam, I think it's under your Steam app. But just go to My Games, Farm Sim 22, and once you open that folder, scroll down and you'll see input bindings. Now, if you've never done this before, don't worry. I'm not going to send you down a bad path to get you in trouble. What you're going to want to do is, if you've never done this, take this folder out and put it on your desktop. Okay, and just keep it there, just in case you screw things up. You always have a backup copy. See, I've already got mine right here. So I'm going to just, if you've done this before, you're not worried about it, take this and just delete it. The game will create a new one. Once you start the game, it's just like a shader cache. You can delete the old shader cache when the game starts up. It'll create a new folder like that. Same with this. So you're going to want to delete that folder out of your farm sim folder and just exit out of it. Like I said, if you want to have a backup copy, just keep a backup copy somewhere. The second thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to go into your mods folder, which is in the same place. That's in your Farm Sim folder. Let's see, My Games, Farm Sim 22, and then mods. This mod folder right here. You're going to want to make sure this is empty, that there are no mods in this mod folder. Completely empty your mods folder out so there's no mods in the game. And the reason why is because mods create key bindings, and the more key bindings you have, the harder the process is of trying to bind everything. Now, I use FDR mods. So one mod I am going to put in there is the FDR bindings, which if you go into your mod folder that you took out of your game, when you pull all your mods out, you're going to want to go back in there and grab this folder right here. If you do the FDR mods, it's the FDR control inputs. And we'll just put that back in your mod folder. I keep my mod folder on my desktop in case you wonder why I did that. So just like I said, if you want to do the FDR key bindings, because they're more separate from the normal game ones, put that mod folder into your mod folder and you should be good. I hope you understood all that. One, empty your mod folder, or the first thing you need to do is delete the key bindings. Second thing you need to do is get all the mods out of your folder, except for the FDR one, if that's the one you want to use. And that should be it. No other mods in your folder. Now, before you fire up the game, I want you to unhook all your controllers except for your keyboard and mouse. Okay? The only controller that you should have hooked up is your keyboard, your mouse, and maybe an Xbox controller. I'm going to do it today having the Xbox controller already hooked up and nothing else. Just the Xbox controller. All my other ones are disconnected. Whether you use a block with switches on it to disconnect them or if you unplug the USB. Either way, they got to be out, or else they're just going to automatically bind as soon as you start the game and you're going to have a mess. So with all the controllers unplugged except for my Xbox controller and my keyboard and mouse, I'm going to start the game. At least I think I am. Double click. There we go. Now I probably got two versions running right now. Just the one. Okay. Let me check something real quick before I start this. Make sure I only have one running. Yeah. Okay. So then you just want to go to career mode and pick a game. Let's see what I got here. I can delete that one. And just start easy. Any map doesn't matter. We'll just do Elm Creek because and the only mods you should have in is if you have the DLCs, them will automatically show up. Um, Plus the FDR binding right here. That was the only one I put in there. And just start your game. Let that load up. hopefully I'm going to try to make this video as short as possible, but this is a key binding video, so it's not going to be super, super short. So, and let her load up here. Come on. Okay. I get my mouse on the screen. Here we go. Start. Confirm. No. And okay. All right. I see keyboard works fine. SWD, walking or whatever. My mouse, I can look up and down. Keyboard, look left, right, up, down. Yeah, that all works fine. Now my Xbox controller, that works perfect. Tab into vehicles, so it's hooked up. It's all good. So the Xbox controller and the keyboard and mouse are the only thing that's hooked up. Now what you want to do is you want to go into your binding screen, which is in this screen, all the way, go down, scroll down to the bottom on the left. You see the 4 little keys. You click on that and you'll see your keyboard bindings, but you want to switch it to gamepad right down here. And you see right here is the Xbox controller. That is left stick Y, plus and negative. That's your bindings. And now remember this, these all look like this. There's nothing behind it that says gamepad, but there will be. Once I hook up another controller over here, this will all switch to LSX minus, and then it'll say something gamepad. That just tells you that that's the gamepad. That basically is for you. Alrighty. Drink a coffee here. Coffee is life, I tell you. Anyway, back to the game. Now, what we're going to do is, if you did like I said, and all you have is your controller and your keyboard and mouse hooked up, this is what this screen will look like right now. When you go to gamepad, there'll be nothing over here on this side, and this side will just have your Xbox controller hooked up the way it is. All the keys are bound to the factory settings, and they work basically like you're playing on console. Okay, so now we go back, and we'll be out here. See, the controller still works now, if you can. Now, some people may have to exit out of the game to do this. I have a USB block with switches on it, so I can turn my USB devices on and off, which hence my controllers and my steering wheel and stuff. This is where you're going to turn your stuff on. Now that you know that it's empty, this is all empty right now. There's nothing here. Now you can turn your controllers on, which I have 3, which would be, one would be my steering wheel and gas pedal, and then I have my 2 joysticks. And there's a reason you turn all these on at the same time. Because if you try to do it separate, if you try to do this next step, and then I'll show you. Just, you see now that I turn that on and my guy instantly goes to the ground. That's because it's double bound. So when you go back in here, now you see this thing is just loaded up. And you see right here on this side, go from the top. This now changed to X input gamepad. That's my Xbox controller. But you also see here, it says accelerate 9G923 racing wheel for Xbox. That's my steering wheel and pedals. And then you see the Logitech Extreme 3D Pros over here. That's my 2 joysticks. Now, the reason that you have to do it with the gamepad plugged in first, because if you use a gamepad, a controller, you're going to want those bindings first, because those are factory set. And they're universal to whatever Xbox, PS4, PC. It's all the same controls on that Xbox controller or PS4 controller, whichever you use. But anyway, that's why you want to have that one plugged in first, so you don't ever lose those bindings or screw them up. You can delete them later on if you don't use them, but you're going to want to have them first, and then everything will go on top of that. Does that make sense? I hope it does. So what we're going to want to do now, because we're looking at the ground out here, I try to look up and it just constantly puts me back to the ground, is because something's double bound. And it's probably in here somewhere where the Logitech sticks are double bound and it's creating a conflict. So anything that doesn't say gamepad on it, okay? All these Logitechs, these racing wheels, everything like that has to go. I know this is a pain in the butt, to do at first, but it's like I said, it's a one-time deal. So you just click on that and hit backspace. Click on it, backspace, and just keep doing that. and every one. Now, except for here where you see this gamepad, you're going to want to switch over to here and do that and click that one off, click that one off. You want to keep the gamepad ones. And there's a reason for that. So if the gamepad switched to this side, that's fine. Just click the other side. See, extreme, extreme. Like I said, this takes a little bit of time the first time you do it. Cancel that. But you're going to want to make sure you do it that way. Make sure you don't delete any of these. You want to go over here, and I can't stress this enough. If it says gamepad, don't touch it. Just because it moved it doesn't mean it's gone. And there is a reason for my badness. As like I said, you can change those in the future, or even delete them in the future. But for setting up, you're going to want to keep them for right now. Yeah, see, now this is D-pad up on a racing wheel. It doesn't matter. If that says racing wheel, that's got to go. Even though it's the same bindings. I said this kind of takes a minute, but it's not something you have to do every time. And that way, once you get it, you can always save a copy, and that way you never have to do this again. And it'll say something different if you have a different wheel. I've got the 923. If you have the 920 or whatever, that's what it'll say. Just as long as you get rid of the ones that say racing wheel, or your whatever joysticks you're running. As long as you don't get rid of the gamepad, that's the one you want to keep. And I could have shortened this video up and split this so you didn't have to watch me doing this, but I think you should actually see it. So if you have any questions, you can always go back and say, oh, okay, that's where I screwed up. And do that way. Keep hitting it. Team on default settings. Oh, this open menu thing. I don't understand what this is, but you cannot unbind this for some reason. It never lets me unbind that. So I guess that one will have to stay. Yeah, see, now that's why I had to go through all this. You're like, oh, what's going on there? I can't get that done. Well, me neither. So I just leave that one alone. That's just open your menu anyway. Yeah, okay. Just a few more here. Expansion gamepad. Okay, and you know what I did? I forgot to activate the FDR mod. I forgot to turn it on. I think I did. Well, if you want to know how to bind those, I did another video on that. So let's see. Yeah, now you just want to go and make sure that all of it is off, and none of the steering wheel or the joysticks were left in there. So just kind of do a quick scroll through, and you can see it here. Yeah, it looks like it's all right there. Oh, that's a menu. One I can't change. And if you can change that, let me know in the comments, because I've been trying to change that one forever, and I for some reason won't let me bind anything to it. But that's not really important. This will get you where you need to be. Sorry for dragging this out, but yeah, it's important that you go through and make sure that everything's off. Now, this is important. Save your controls. If you don't save your controls, well, this will happen. If you don't save your controls, it's still going to be the same way. So you're going to want to make sure you save that once you get rid of all that stuff. Hit save controls, okay, and then go back in the game, and it'll be normal again. It'll be just like you just have the gamepad and the keyboard and mouse, and nothing else is bound. So now that we did that, now what we're going to do is we're going to go back into gamepad, and we're going to start binding stuff here. Now, I'll show you where a lot of the stuff is self-explanatory, like turn left, turn right. Obviously, you turn your steering wheel left and right, your gas and your brake. The tricky part is doing the controls for the front end loaders and the harvesters and stuff. So that would be, let's see, scroll to the top. Joysticks, you're going to want run, jump, crouch, accelerate. Now, see, right here is where you accelerate and brake, steer right and steer left. Now, I leave that bound to the gamepad, my accelerate. Or see, wait a minute. Yeah, no, I don't. I bind this to my joysticks. But this is where you do your steering wheel and your gas pedal and your brakes, which I'm going to do right now, just because to show you guys what it looks like. So my acceleration, I will hit right here. You click on that, and I hit my gas pedal, and it bounds the accelerate to the G29 race wheel. And the brake, I've hit my brake, and that's set now. Now steer right and left. See, I don't use my steering wheel because this is where it's messed up in Farm Sim. I'd like to use my steering wheel, but I have a choice of uh, two, two, two options. I can either use my steering wheel and my gamepad, or I can use my steering wheel and my joystick, or I can use my joystick and my gamepad, which is what I prefer. Um, because I do a lot of online stuff, streaming and stuff, and the steering wheel, it's hard to jumble between the three controllers at the same time. So this is where I bind. I will bind over here where it says gamepad. I'm going to leave that there because that's what I want. And over here, I am going to use my joystick on the Logitech sticks. There are four buttons on the top plus a D-pad, so to speak. It's a little four-way directional thumbstick controller. But I'm going to use that to steer right, and I'm going to bind that to steer left. That way, when I'm driving my machines through the woods, I can use my joystick, so I don't have to take my hands off the joystick to grab the steering wheel because I use dual sticks. Now, if you only have one joystick, that might be a little different. But I run two joysticks, so I use my gas and my brake, and I steer my joystick just like in a real life machine. Um, Now, a lot of people ask, why don't I use my steering wheel when I'm not in my machine? Well, because I use a head tracker most of the time, and the steering wheel is great for that. But the the gamepad, when I kick back in my chair and I don't use the head tracker, the gamepad's a lot easier. I can just kick my feet up. I don't have to use my gas. But when I want to really seriously relax, that's why I use my controller. I don't want to be up on the wheel, stuff like that. So that's how I bind it. If you wanted to use your steering wheel, this is where you bind it right here. You'll click that, turn your steering wheel right, it'll steer right. Click that, steer left. Okay, but like I said, I'm just going to use my uh, joystick to steer right and left, and my gamepad to steer right and left when I'm not in a machine. And you look down and look up in a vehicle. I always use my gamepad for that. If you want to bind that to your joystick, you just bind it over here. Let's see how start stop steering. Rotate hand tools. Yeah, we don't need that. Vehicle, raise hydraulic hitch. Now you can bind these however you want. If you want to bind your joysticks to this stuff here, I don't recommend it, but you can. If you have a farm sim side panel, and you want to do a lot of this stuff with the buttons on that, you can over here. But just remember this slot here, it doesn't matter if you have 50 controllers, you're only going to be able to bind it once or twice if you get rid of the gamepad. See, I use the gamepad a lot, as most people do, so I always leave that bound. That way I don't take those bindings out. If I want to take them out, like back up here for the steering wheel, wherever that was at, yeah, you can get rid of these bindings for the steering wheel if you'd like to. But down here where like the rotate pipe, stuff like that, I just leave that stuff alone. This is tool functions. Now this one in here has to be bound. I think it's number 2 is your cut for your harvesters. Wood harvesters now is the same as what is LBA? Yeah, number 2 is if you're binding your joysticks and you want to bind a button to cut with, so the harvester will cut, that's the one you do it. Now I just use my right trigger and bind that on my joystick. So that, remember, tool function 2 is the cut. Okay, if that makes sense. If you're logging and you cut a tree down with a harvester, that's the one that'll cut. Let's see, vehicle work, extend header reel, blah blah blah. Okay, now this is your front end loader. If you want to bind your joysticks to that too, this is lift up and down on your or on your loader arms. This is this right here, like right here. I'll bind that to lift up. Hopefully I get it right here. One more time, make sure. And yeah, see when you bind the joysticks, it'll automatically bind up and down. So whatever the reverse from up is, it'll be down on there. Extend front loader arm. That's the tilt on your bucket, I think. Yeah, that'll tilt the bucket. Let me do this. Let me save these. And we'll go back and we will buy a loader here, or front end loader, and I'll show you. Of course the game's gonna save. We would just buy a small loader. Probably have to lease it because I'm broke. So we'll just use this one because I know everybody's probably got it. Oh, gotta lease it. And then we'll just get a bucket for it. Okay. Okay. Now we'll go back into the bindings real quick. And it'd be raised front loader arm. See, I gotta be careful with these. Make sure it does. See, it's still not right on mine. These my controllers or my dead zones are set extremely low or extremely high, so I have no dead zone basically. So every time I hit the joystick, it wants to bind a different setting. Hopefully that's it this time. I think it is. Let's see, save that. Yeah, okay, you got it that time. See, now that is up and down for your front end loader, the one I just bound. And we'll go back to that screen again. Gamepad. And this right here, I'm pretty sure is tilts the bucket. So we're gonna set that to that and that. Now you can, like I said, you can bind these to whatever you want. I'm just showing you what they do or what they're for. So we'll go back. You don't have to save it. Oh, that's my steering. It's my up and down. Oh, maybe that wasn't. Let's see. Oops. I'll do whatever I just did there. So that's not that. Which one does the bucket here? I think that's this one is loaded. Oh, I know what this is. I'm sorry. This is I should have got a telehandler. If you have a telehandler, this is what shoots the arm out and shoots the arm in. So I will buy that different for me on my other joystick. Yeah. Okay, this is the one that does the bucket. Let's see. Raise lower. That should be right this time. Yeah. So that does the bucket. The other one does the loader. Now, like I said, the one in the middle, let's see, this one here, extend and contract. That's if you have a telehandler that shoots out and shoots in. That's the one that does that. And open front loader tool, if you have a bucket that opens, then this is, let me see if I can get one here. I'll show you. Let's save these, come back out, back, go to the store. Let's see, front loaders, wheel loaders, like this one here. Oops. I hope I'm not confusing anybody. It's kind of a pain in the butt to do. As you can see, I even forget half the settings half the time. Okay, so let's go back to the gamepad here. Now this first one right here, this raise and lower front loader arm, that is this. That raises that arm up and down. The next one, extend and contract, that's if you have a telehandler. That'll shoot the boom out and shoot it back in. I'm not using a telehandler, so I can't show you that. But this next one, it says raise front loader tool and lower front loader tool. That is this right here. It'll turn the tool up and down like that. And the last one is these two here. That's open front loader tool and close front loader tool. That is this, where you can open it and close it. So that way, if you're running in unison, you can, just makes life so much easier. So that's what those do, and that's how they're set. So that's done. And raise tool axis 3, raise tool axis 4, raise tool axis 5. That all depends on what you're using. If, like, say you have a set of forks that open up, I'm pretty sure that's what this is. Or no, I think that's still that. I don't have any modded forks in here, so I don't think I have anything that. Oh, wait a second. Maybe I do. I apologize if I'm losing anybody here, but I think in that platinum pack, then forks can be opened and closed. It would be on one of these guys. Yeah, it should work on. I think that'll work on a regular end loader, front end loader. Find out. Probably not. It's probably built specifically for that Volvo. Yeah, just what I thought. Well, you just have to lease that Volvo then. Okay, so that's up, down, tilt. Yeah, see that? Well, it's already bound to that to open and close that. So, like I said, the only thing I could think of that was for, that these are for, is if for extra stuff, in case you have an extra tool or something on there. But these bindings right here are basically all you're gonna need to set your joystick, um, so you can still use your joystick for the front end loaders. Plus, you can still use your gamepad at the same time. I kind of hope that makes sense. And let's see. Now we got rotate crane, right? Now this stuff right here is where you're going to get into the wood harvesters and the excavators and stuff like that. So let me back out of here and go lease one of these monsters. Uh, sure, might just get right in and grab this one, which I have to lease. Okay, you can see it'll work with my controller, the bindings for that, but it will not work with my joystick right now because it's a separate bindings. So even though you have these already bound, you still have to set these ones. So let's go the rotate crane right and left. So let's see, which ones do I use for that? Let's see, rotate crane right. I use that. And what that does is that rotates the cab right and left. Up, see my dead zones are so far gone. Yeah, I'll try this to the right. Ah, just bear with me. Like I said, I got my dead zones set so low, or so high, I should say, that it's not picking it up right. It keeps wanting to use a separate binding on my joystick. That might have did it. Let's see. Yeah, right and left. That's what that does. Rotates the crane cab right and left. And then this one is raise and lower your crane arm. Now, what this is, this is your main crane arm, and I'll show you. That is this one right here. Oh, this thing is killing me today. It's just not wanting to cooperate. And that's not it. I know it's not it. Close. Uh, that. I don't think that's it. I think I just double bound that. Oh, this is just, I should have did my dead zones different. That might have did it. Okay, finally, right? The one rotates, the other one lifts that main boom. See the yellow cylinder on it? That's the boom you're lifting. Ugh, boy, that was a pain in the butt. Okay, and this is the crane arm 2 is your secondary. I use my other joystick for that. So that should be right for that one. And see, that's your secondary. That works there, that one. So back out a little bit, show you a little better. The first one we did was the crane rotate, right and left. The second one we did was the main loader, or the main crane, which is that one. And the one we just did was a secondary. That's your crane arm too. And the next one we'll do is the extend crane arm. That's the one that makes it squirt out and squirt back in. That's that one there. So now we have this much control of a crane so far. Okay. And the next one here is open crane tool. Now that, if you have a forwarder, this will open up the bucket, the grapple. So that opens and closes. So set that to there and set that to there. Save those. Okay. Back. Let me show you what that is. Have to buy one. Store. Unpack. Lease one of these monsters. Lease. And that is going to be, it opens and closes the claw. And it's the same thing for a forwarder or whatever, anything with a claw like that, that's what that'll bind. So we'll go back to our bindings again here. And we'll just do a quick run through. Remember this one here, this is your cab, turn right and left. This is your main crane arm. This is your secondary crane arm. This is your squirt boom, so one that shoots in and out, like the telehandlers. And this is your grapple. And this rotate crane tool right or left. That spins. Was that right or left? I went wrong way with that one. That's the one that turns the bucket, which I'll show you here. Let's get back in the other machine. That rotates the head. Okay. Or to rotate the bucket on a forwarder. Raise crane tool axis 3. That one is what opens the claws and closes the claws. Let me show you here. Let me start up the harvest. See what's just a B. And the tilt on that is trying to remember what the tilt is on this. And tilt harvester head. Oh, you can't do it on this one. Anyway, you see those claws on the harvester head? If you have a harvester, like I know on FDR stuff or some of the other stuff on the other Volvo, actually, you can open those claws up. Let's see. Yeah, I have a whole bunch of equipment sitting here. Like this one, when you fire up the crane, you have those extra set of claws on there. Well, maybe it's just FDRs. Because that works like with the normal claws on that one. Okay, so you don't have to worry about that binding unless you run an FDR stuff, but that's a different area anyway. This crane tool axis 3, that will open up that extra set of claws like on the feller bunchers and stuff like that. These last two bindings are basically the support legs. Nothing has them on any of the logging equipment. Log trucks do, and you can bind that stuff there. So let's review this. The crane right and left, that rotates the cab. This is your main arm, your main boom. This is your secondary boom, up and down. This is the squirt boom, just like the telehandlers when it shoots out and shoots in. This is open crane tool, which is your grapple. It'll open and close that. This right here rotates your grapple left and right. And this here is an extra binding if you have that stuff to open up a separate set of blades or on a feller bunch or something. And that's that. Shouldn't be anything else that you're going to need to bind with your joysticks. Like I said, your steering wheel, you can uh, put it wherever you want. Like I said, I explained how I use mine. Uh, if you have FDR's bindings, then you go all the way to the bottom, it'll say FDR stuff, and you can bind it all there. I did a video on that already, on what all that stuff does. It does basically the same things. The only thing you got to make sure is to turn the harvester on or off. See, I bind that too. See, this one cuts, and I think it's one or three that activates it, so you can turn the harvester on with using your joysticks. Let me, there's an easy way to find that. Just go back to this controls. Oh no, wait, gamepad. It would be, let's see, left bumper or right, yeah, left bumper B, I think activates the hand tool. Let's see. Well, let me go back up to the thing here. I just want to make sure so I get to that binding too. Yeah, it's left bumper B, turns it on and off. That's the machine. Let's see, chain turn off harvester, tilt harvester head, toggle map. Oh, I guess it's left bumper X on here. Must have been, yeah. Anyway, of course the game's gonna save. Oh, you see how this is doing this on its own? That's because if you have the joysticks and you have the slider on there, that slider will make it go on its own. You got to make sure that's centered. Just a heads up for you guys that run into that problem. I've had it myself. So let's see. Back out of here. Go back in there. Gamepad and be left bumper X. Right there, left bumper X. That turns the harvester head on and off. So I'll just bind that to that. Save my controls. Go back out here, back, and give it a try. And see, turns it on and turns it off. Now you can also bind your tree lengths to that. What you want to set. Oh, where is it? There's a binding for it. It's to go up or down on how long you want your trees. Let's see. But I think that's one of these bindings. I'm pretty sure because I know it's. Yeah, I think it's this one right here. Is this? It's the same one for seeds that does changing that. Anyway, you can figure that out wherever that's at. But this one here, this turns your head on and off. This one here is the cut. So when you got a tree, you can cut it. And the rest I already explained. And hopefully I didn't make this video too long where you guys won't want to watch it. But anyway, I hope you learned something. If you did, smash that like and subscribe. It's free, doesn't cost you a thing. Helps the channel out a ton. If you have any questions, feel completely free to ask. And don't forget to save everything. Okay? Once you get everything bound up, make sure down here it'll say save. I'll switch something here uh, real quick just to show you, just for peace of mind for me. See run, that should be the right trigger. So there. Now down here it'll say save controls. Make sure you save it. Exit out, then back, and everything should be bound right to your joysticks. So, and for your front end loaders, make sure everything still works. Oh yeah, notes and everything. And once you save this, when you exit the game, make sure you save. Important to do this. Make sure you save your game and then quit and hit yes, and that will save all your bindings. Don't go to the dashboard and quit out of it. Make sure you, when you first do your bindings, make sure you save it and quit, just like I did here. And then when you go back in the game, everything will be perfect, just the way you had it set up. I hope you learned something. I hope I didn't drag this on too much. Uh, like I said, it can be tricky at first. Just follow the instructions, no mods, eliminate your bindings, and start from dead fresh. Uh, that's how I set up two joysticks and the steering wheel and gas pedal and a controller in Farm Sim. Just remember to watch out for double binding and start with a clean slate. Don't try to do it when you have all the controllers plugged in at the same time and you have your old bindings in. It's important that you get that bindings list out of your folder first. That's the key, is to wipe that clean. And the reason I have no mods, like I said earlier, because some mods have different bindings, and that bindings list would have been 10 times longer. So, and you would have had to delete that 10 times more if you had them all in there. So empty your mods folder, delete your bindings, start the game with just a controller, keyboard, and mouse, and then go from there. And like I said, if you learned anything, smash the like button, subscribe, doesn't cost you a thing, helps channel out. You guys have a great day. Take care. Can't wait to see you in the next one.